Hey there, it's Benny here. Don't make this mistake that most people make that holds them back in improving their flexibility. It's really common. You see a stretch. You want to improve at that stretch. You go into it with a compromised body position. It's already too hard for you to start. You're all hunched over, your breath's being held, your body's tense. It's so uncomfortable, you have to come straight out, and we wonder why we don't improve. I don't want that for anyone. I'd like to have a more graceful approach that just lets your body just open up gracefully like a flower. So in this video, I'm going to take you through 10 principles that I really feel you need to know before starting flexibility practice. This video isn't about filling your head with information and just expecting you to remember things. What I'd like to do is to give you a kinesthetic experience so you can really physically embody, mentally embody what I'm talking about. So I would recommend that you practice along with me. We're going to apply these 10 principles to the pancake stretch, and so you'll need a couple of things to practice along. Here I've got a couple of yoga blocks. I've got something to sit on. This could be, this is just a basic step. It could be a chair, anything like that. You'll kind of find what's right for you, but I'd recommend that you have something to sit on. And here I've got a couple of dumbbells, but you could use anything that kind of weighs, a few kilos up until kind of maybe 10 kilos. So grab those things, come on back, and then we'll go through how to apply these principles to the pancake stretch. So with any stretch, you might know kind of where you're going. So with the pancake, basically what we're looking to do is have an open body position and then gradually extending our ability to fold forward. So you might not be able to do that to start. So we need to find an appropriate position to start. So the main thing that I recommend to begin with this particular movement is to have a torso position that's at least 45 degrees. And the spine is nice and long rather than starting here. The reason for this is because the focus area of the stretch is in the lower body, is in the hips. So if you're bending here, well then you're just stretching at the back. So this is why it's important just to start easy so you can actually direct your stretch into the intended area of the body. So in this example, we'll make the movement easier by changing the leverage point by sitting up a bit higher. Now I don't need to bend as far forward to get to that 45-degree position. So experiment first, find the height of object that you're seated upon. If you need something to support your heels, like a cushion or anything like that, then feel free to do that. But this is what we want to do, is just kind of find, this is easy for me. And so this is a great place for me to build from. I can always go deeper. So that's what I recommend first, is start at an easier progression, so then you've got some room to grow. So we started off finding the easy progression to start in. And you can of course apply this to any stretch. We're just applying this now to the pancake. So what we want to do next is to find our productive zone of stretching. Basically that means that there is a zone that we can improve our range of motion from a soft stretch, so we feel the stretch just start to come on, all the way to the harder stretch. So feeling where the body's starting to tense up a little bit, maybe the breathing starts to change, maybe your mind starts to notice, oh, I'm in a bit of a challenge here, maybe I'm there's a bit of a fear response, all of that sort of thing. We want to explore that zone between kind of easy and harder, between soft and hard. Now, if we spend too much time in the hard zone all the time, as a lot of people do, then what you're going to do is put your body under a lot of stress, put a lot of inflammation on your body, and then that inflammation is always peaking up and you build up scar tissue in the end range. You don't actually heal enough, and then the pliability, the suppleness of your tissue, of your fascia system, sliding against your muscles doesn't improve as well. So this is where finding that zone between soft and harder, and know that you can improve in that spectrum It doesn't always have to be hard. You don't always have to push to 100%. That's where we start to really get the best improvements, I notice. So a general sweet spot is kind of about 70% of your max if you're kind of feeling good. If you're nursing an injury or anything like that, then you might drop that intensity back to about 40 to 50% of your max. But you need to understand kind of what your max is and then be able to back it off to be able to work with this effectively. So that's the next key principle. Find your productive zone to stretch. Don't overinflame your body. Just give your body that stimulus to grow over time. So you've got a feeling for your productive zone of stretch, kind of where's that soft space, where's that harder space. Then we want to use our breath as a tool to support the relaxation of our mind and body in the experience of stretching. So our breath links to all physiological functions that we have. So let's just explore the breath. Now you might, as you go into your stretch, get to kind of what I call the oh shit moment, where it's like, oh shit, that's uncomfortable. Now, that's okay. It's sort of a bit like a cold shower. You know, if you get in there, you might get a bit of shock, and if you jump out, well, you don't really get the benefits of that cold shower. But if you just stay in it for a little bit and work with your breath, then actually what you might find, your body starts to relax and heat up in the experience. It's the same with stretching. So basically we go into that, and if it's challenging, like let your breath reflect that. Maybe you back off the challenge a little bit, and then just let your breath start to slow and deepen. The basic place that we would like to get to really start to allow the body to open up and relax in the experience is that the exhale is longer than the inhale. So what I'd recommend that you practice is just kind of let your breath do what it does, just become aware of it, and then slowly start to slow that exhale down. Just notice what's happening in your body as you do that. With that intent to just relax, soften, accept the experience as it is. No need to fight this, just find love where we are. So using your breath is a wonderful gateway to your mind, to your body, to relax into the experience of stretching. You can apply that to any stretch. So we've started to relax into the stretch using our breathing. We kind of understand where our productive zone is. We've found a space of ease to begin with, and then we move into it. Next, everybody is different. Now you might kind of be looking at this and thinking, oh, to get this right, I've got to do what Benny's doing, and I've got to have my legs straight and all that sort of stuff. But maybe you had an injury to your adductor, or like there's an area of your body that's tighter than another. Well then, why try and force yourself into someone else's body? Why not just focus on your own unique body and learn how to adapt stretches and movements to your needs? So that's the purpose of this principle. So what we can do is just basically move around all of the different joints in the body. First of all, just see if they're free and available to move. And we can bend, we can extend, and we can rotate. So you can do that with every part of your body and just help refine that position to meet your needs. So you might have one side where you need to bend it a little bit more to get into the hip in this particular movement. Maybe your spine is rounding and it's like, okay, well, can I reduce it, the range, and work on rounding and arching my spine? You know, maybe my head and my neck is just like tense like this. Like, let that soften and move. So the moral of the story is in any given stretch, you can find ways to bend, extend, rotate your joints to adjust the stretch for your unique needs. It will continue to evolve over time, and the more you practice it, the better you'll get to know your body and the better results you'll get from your flexibility practice. So keep exploring that individual joint movement. Let's say we get into position and you feel like your body's just kind of really tense, and then, you know, like for example in this one, you feel your legs are tense and then you just want to bend at your back to kind of avoid that tension. What is really useful is to use objects to support us in any stretch. And so here's how we can apply it in this particular stretch is I've got these objects here. I could just place my hands upon them and just let my body relax into the object. Use your breathing. And this support starts to give you kind of a bit of a sense of, oh, okay, I'm safe here. I've got something to lean on. Your nervous system does something really wonderful that you might notice as you're applying this. Of like, notice the difference between hovering in space and then just placing your hands on something or using support from an object, then just letting your body soften, letting it go. And as you're doing that, feel inside your body as best as you can and just notice if there's any areas that are holding more than others. You can adjust the position and you can start to just relax into those different areas. The main thing that we're looking to do is to relax into the whole body. So if there's any areas in the body that are kind of tense, if there's any experiences in the mind that are tense, use an object to start to make the experience a little bit easier and then to support you to relax more deeply. So using objects to relax into positions is really, really helpful. Also on the other side, it's important to be able to build strength at your end ranges. So flexibility is kind of a balance between physical and mental relaxation and activity. So what would be useful from this point is to start to take the support away and hover over that support. Now, as you do this, become aware of all of the muscles that are involved in the stretch. So in this particular stretch, in the pancake, we're focusing on the muscles of the legs and the hips, even the spine to elongate. So breathing and really being able to hold yourself in the stretch, being able to contract. You can also like push your feet kind of down into the ground and kind of try and pull them together. That's going to help enhance the quality of the contraction. And just experiment with that for a moment. Kind of relax back into the object. I just need to adjust what I'm sitting on. Hovering again. Over time, as you feel confident, you can add load to that to help strengthen your end range further. So I could hold this object behind the head, and that's going to really increase my ability to strengthen at the end range. When you're choosing weights, it should be enough that it's feeling like it's gently pulling you deeper into the stretch, but not so heavy that you kind of feel like you're fighting it all the time. So generally kind of weights between kind of 3 to 10 kilos is more than enough, but experiment with that. The main principle here is to focus as much on building strength at your end range as building relaxation. So while every movement is different, some movements like the pancake, you can focus on moving from one side to the other. The main thing that you will likely notice when you're stretching is that different sides of your body have different levels of flexibility, and it's important to honor those differences. So as we're here in the pancake, what you can do is, like I kind of demonstrated a little bit before, is move that object across and just see the difference between your right side in this case. Breathe into it. See if you can contract and stabilize in that range. And the other side. Relax into the range. Contract into the range. Feel your body. Notice, does one side feel more confident? Does one side feel tighter? All we'd like to do is notice the difference in any given stretch. So you can relax there for a moment if you like. And honor the difference. Give the side that needs a little bit more love some more love at the end of each set. And so then over time, you can start to rebalance the body. Doesn't have to be perfect, But a little bit of love goes a long way when we're honouring the differences between the left and right sides of the body. Super important principle is knowing how to progress. So in any stretch that you do, there's kind of 3 key ways that you'll progress. The first is improve the challenge of the progression. So in this particular example, it's quite simple. We just lower the height of the object that we're seated on. That straight away is going to make everything a little more challenging. So when the higher version becomes easier for you and you can just kind of breathe into it and you've got a good quality of experience, then we make the progression harder. There's going to be opportunities for growth there, and we keep building that quality of ease in harder positions. So we can also add resistance to the progression that we're on. So maybe you've developed a good ability to relax and hold in the position, and then to start to move forward further, you could take a weight and hold it in that range and really start to strengthen and fortify that progression that you're working on. It's going to apply differently to different movements, and we go through all of those details inside the program. So the next is the quality of the stretch. So you want to focus on really kind of your breathing. So your ability to kind of really slow down that exhale, relax your body. If your breath's being held, then probably not a good idea to make it harder at that point. Work on your breathing in the experience, let your body adapt to that challenge, and then your breathing will reflect that. And then also the other side of it in the quality is body control. So your ability to not just hold one position, but to move around in the stretch, to have control over the movement of all of your joints. So this means that we're not just avoiding parts of the body, the whole body is free and available to move. So then it's more than just static positions. We're applying it to moving more expressively, moving more freely through life. So the last thing that you need to know to focus on to progress is your depth. So naturally, if you're gradually improving the demands of the progression that you choose, your quality of stretch, well, depth will likely just happen on its own accord. But over time, just give yourself targets. So in this example, okay, this is relatively easy. I can go to this point. Once I explore this and I'm confident here, then I can change the target and start to look at, okay, this target. So naturally, I'm giving myself a bit of focus on where am I going in any given stretch. I'm not forcing my body to get there, but I'm allowing myself to naturally relax in the experience and start to strengthen those ranges. And then over time, I can start to deepen them. So here, I'm just off this. So I might start to grab this weight. There we go, it's anchored me in. Now I can strengthen this range. Notice my breathing change straight away so that I can improve my body control. I can improve my quality of stretch, my breathing, all of these things. And then over time, my flexibility will naturally start to improve. So know how you're going to progress is a really key part of your progress. So really important principle to support your long-term progress is to focus on long-term progress. So it's really common that people that don't improve their flexibility go into it and just want to improve all at once. They push their body really hard, and then when their body kind of says, hey, that's too much, you hurt yourself, all of that sort of stuff, you focus on kind of, I should be getting more flexible from session to session. It's a really untruthful way that the body actually adapts. So what I would recommend, I didn't go from here to here in a day. This took me like a month to just go to that little step. It's little micro steps over time. So if you can focus more on progressing month to month rather than session to session, then it's going to set you up for success. Flexibility improvement is not a linear journey. It's kind of a wonderful bit of a gentle roller coaster. Sometimes the roller coaster will feel like it's moving a bit fast, and sometimes it'll be a little bit more meandering. But if you can honor those cycles, some days you'll have challenging days, some days you'll have easier days, better and worse days. That's part of the beauty of stretching. You know, it really reflects back to you, life and yourself. And so if you focus on that growth over the longer term, you will get better improvement. The final principle is about knowing that you can improve at any age. I don't just mean believing, I mean knowing in your heart that there are ways that you can improve. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't know that you can improve, well, you may as well give up before you begin, in all honesty. So this is going to be a little bit of a mental game where your body will reflect back to you kind of where you're at. Your ego will need to learn to be humble and kind of accept where you're at, meet yourself, match your physical experience with your mental experience, and learn to love that experience. Because like it's amazing having a body. You know, if we can celebrate the miracle that it is to have a physical body and see the opportunities for growth, well then, like, the sky is the limit. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter if you're injured. If you continue to work with your individual body, then find the opportunities for growth. Tinker, explore, experiment, get to know yourself, get to know your body. Then you can improve in so many ways. It's not just about bending forward and to the utmost, or doing the splits or anything like that. Sometimes it can just be about bending down, touching the ground, and for that to be a more relaxed experience. So you've got to really develop that knowing. So visualize in your mind the possibility and know that I was really tight. I could barely even stand up straight. I had back pain, I had scoliosis, and now it's amazing how my body has adapted over years and years and years of consistent dedication toward my own physical development, my own emotional, mental, and even spiritual development. It's all interconnected. So really important that you know that to support you moving forward sustainably, long term. So now you know the 10 principles of basically how to stretch with a high degree of quality that promotes progress longer term. So we've applied this to the pancake stretch. What I encourage you to do is to apply it to all of the stretches, any particular stretch. If you could look at a stretch and go through these principles, you'll be able to find very clearly where you might be getting stuck. If you can apply these principles, it doesn't have to be all of them. It might just be one at a time. Then over time, what you'll do is start to digest these principles, start to feel them kinesthetically rather than to know them intellectually. And from that point, you can keep applying them infinitely into any stretch you can think of. And I would just love to hear about how you progress, how it opens up your body and opens up your life. So thanks for joining us. Keep on practicing.